sports guys, let's turn the page to some winning teams. None of us are fans of.
Can we not talk about the Jets for the next like 4 weeks?
I would ask not to talk about the Raiders, but I know they're coming up later.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, got some first round of the playoffs coming up this weekend. You got some good games, some interesting matchups to say the least.
Yeah.
The first game let's talk about is Pittsburgh at Denver. JT, what's the line for that game?
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh -9.
Now this game is interesting only in the sense that you got Tebow, and then you have Pittsburgh, their leading player, Grant, I believe, he's not playing because he's got some blood issue or something.
Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's got sickle cell. And he lost like a spleen or something.
And a
30 pounds
gallbladder,
or
and a
something.
gallbladder, I believe, when he played.
And they actually, to the Steelers' credit, this is why the Steelers are one of those teams that win all the time.
They refused to let him
They
play.
just took his
And
helmet.
he wanted to play.
He wanted to play, and they said, "No, you're not playing."
He said that he wanted there to be a few like scripted plays that he could play, and they were like, "No, we're
Nope,
gonna risk
nope.
that."
Which is
So-
awesome.
Agreed.
Regardless whether he plays or
Now,
not.
and Mendenhall's out, obviously,
Oh, that is.
and Big Ben's banged up.
I'm not worried about Big Ben because
He's always banged up.
he
Yeah.
shoots. He's shooting up.
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to find out he's addicted to painkillers because there's no way he plays under all.
No
these
way that
injuries.
tough, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's that tough.
Right.
This Tebow had. I mean, the guy had 70 total. It was like my high school football team.
I put up better numbers, much better, and I was
70
not a good
total
quarterback.
yards.
Yeah, no, he was brutal. He was, was he 6 of 22 for 60
Their
yards?
defense
or
is
something like
very
that?
good.
The defense is very good, but here's the thing. I mean, how are they going to score against the Pittsburgh
That's-
Steelers?
that's-
I don't care about Clark being out. My thing is this. Also, I mean, I granted they're at home, but whose advantage really is that? Tim Tebow, there hasn't been a cold winter there this year. I don't know what the weather's going to be like this year. This week you got to assume it's going to be cold. Is Tim Tebow a guy who can go out and play in the cold? I don't
And
know.
all he needs is something that's going to affect his grip.
That's what I'm saying.
Make
That's
him
what I'm
less,
saying, and
make
slow
him
him
less
down in the
accurate.
cold. Right, exactly. Now, and Big Ben, you know he could play in the cold.
The only chance they have,
Is this guy can take 10 60-yard field goals, this guy Prater, because he is a stud.
and if like Von Miller returns 3 picks for touchdown.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would have to be
This is a 9-6 game.
See, I think that the Steelers are going to put up points.
Well, I think they certainly have it. The only way for the Broncos to win, this game can't be over 10 points.
The thing, well, no, I agree with you there. The thing about Ben Roethlisberger, though,
It's the only way.
No way.
I mean, they get pressured by blitzing a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I think Big Ben can read the hot receiver as good as anybody, get the ball out of his hand as good as anybody, and he's shown he could do that. So I think they're going to put up in the 20s. I think it's going to be somewhere. I think they're going to cover. I think it's going to be somewhere like a 24-3 type game.
From a fan of Tebow's perspective, this is actually the worst matchup possible, and we'll move on because there's a chance they could really get embarrassed in this game, and that's just going to make him look that much worse.
So you don't think they're going to cover though? The way you said 9-6. I mean, what you think they're going to cover? Give me a pick.
I'm going to pick Denver to cover, not to win.
James, what's your pick?
I'm gonna pick Denver only because +9 at home. That's hard.
right.
That's hard
What do
to
you
turn
got?
away.
Oh, I told you. I said 24-3. I think it's going to be.
I don't think Pittsburgh's gonna score as much as you think. I think they'll score enough, but not as
All right.
much.
Next game, Lions in New Orleans. What's that line?
That line is
10.5?
-10.5 Detroit.
Now,
Is there any way the Saints lose this game?
Saints are my Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that they're just clicking. I mean, obviously last year, how disappointing their season ended
Yeah.
last year. I don't see there's a way that this is going to be a game where unless somehow Stafford just slings it all over, makes no mistakes, and Calvin Johnson puts up 250 yards, and they match him, and then they get a break late.
Yeah.
I think they're even going to cover. I mean, I just don't think Detroit. What's that?
Go ahead.
I just think that you look at some of the games that Detroit's lost this year, and some of the breaks that they got early in the year. We talked about them being
Barely beat
phonies.
the Raiders.
Yeah, we talked about them being phonies early in the year. They got some great breaks to beat the Cowboys. They got breaks to beat a lot of teams. And I don't think that Drew Brees is going to make those mistakes. I don't think there's a chance in the world Drew Brees loses this game or has any. I mean, this is going to be one of those games where there's 4 or 5 incompletions on Drew Brees' side.
Oh, I don't think they lose. I would say there's probably not a chance they lose. But I think that this game could wind up being closer only because the Lions do have some electric players that you could see just Megatron going crazy at the end. In this game being...
Well, it's Megatron is the... I mean, what other electric players...
But that's all...
You
Stafford
said players. Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying it's not like they have a ton...
I mean, he's for 5,000 yards. They're not all to him.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, he's their guy. I mean,
No
they got
doubt.
Burleson's not going to scare you that much. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not sure the
Pettigrew's
Saints'
decent.
defense is great.
No.
Who's that?
The tight end Pettigrew.
Yeah.
It's good, yeah.
I do... I'm not sure about the Saints' defense. I do think... I mean, I don't see how the Saints lose this game, especially at home.
But you like Detroit to cover.
I just always think in these playoff games, there is a fact that and the lines are crazy, and in that they may just be dumb enough to stay in this game. Now, that being said, I could see this game.
I could see them being ugly early.
I could see getting super ugly because they're just so undisciplined, or I could see it staying close and them starting believing in themselves, and then eventually the Saints will win just because they're better.
What do you got?
I like the Saints to cover. I think this is going to be an ultimate shootout because even if it's like, I could be like a 55-40 game, they still cover. Something that crazy. It could be that crazy.
I could see. I could see.
I'll take them winning by 14.
I think it's going to be
13.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next?
Third game, Cincy at Houston.
The most difficult game to pick to me. I mean, the last two that we're going to go over, but this game to me,
Cincy
Houston,
+3, right?
Houston -3, Cincy +3.
So we're looking at a 3-point game. You got, I mean, obviously you're going to look at the negatives first. You got a rookie quarterback. You got a team that kind of backed their way in the playoffs, getting in on a loss. And then on the other side of the ball, you got a team who is down to their third or fourth quarterback. Yeah, I mean, you look at
Yates.
Yates is playing.
Right?
No, but he's playing.
He's playing.
Yates is playing, but you're down to a third quarterback who doesn't even have a lot of experience. I mean, as much as it didn't matter whether they won or lost that last game, I think they really wanted TJ Yates to get to play and just to get some more experience. You know what I'm saying? So I keep going back and forth in this game. They're two very good defenses. The Bengals surprised a lot of people how good they were. I mean, they're one of the better defenses in the league. And you look at the Texans; they were very good. Who do you got in this game? What do you think of the same? Are you looking at it the same way I'm looking at it?
Yes, I'm biased because I got stuck with Cincy in that playoff pool. Yeah. But I did like Cincy.
Yeah.
Just because Cincy reminds me, this is a stretch, of the Jets 2 years ago. A nobody quarterback. You're like, this guy's gonna be awful.
Yeah.
A decent defense, a defensive-minded coach, and all that. You just got to start believing.
Yeah.
You just have to start believing, and they have just enough weapons.
We talked about it last week of all the teams that were on the bubble, and I know I said I thought the Jets were going to get in, but I said of all the teams, what was the most talented team on that bubble, and we both agreed that it was the Bengals. And I think that's why I'm going with the Bengals. I think this kid Dalton's pretty good. They got two explosive wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Andre Johnson's back. I get all that, but I mean, you're going to look at two rookie quarterbacks going at it. Dalton, I'll take over him. You know what I'm saying? I think the running game for Houston's better. The defenses are comparable. I think Cincinnati wins this game outright.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that Houston wins, but I don't think they're going to cover. I like
that tight.
Like one or two. It was 1 or 2 points last time they played. 1 point, I believe, 20-19.
Yeah.
I like Ben Tate and Arian Foster versus Cedric Benson in a defensive-minded game.
Well, there's no doubt Ben Tate and Arian Foster are
that's
incredible.
That's what I'm going on them too.
The Bengals are fast though. They're on defense. I mean,
and that guy Kubiak, something about him. I just feel like
it's weird because
he's like the Tony Romo coaches. He always does one stupid thing.
We've been talking about that team for how many years? 4 or 5 years.
He always
this is going to be their year. This is going to be their year. Yeah, I don't know.
I could see him getting in a touchdown and doing something stupid.
And then they have that way. Both teams have that excuse if they don't win. Well, it was still a good season because you look at the Bengals. Nobody picked them to go to the playoffs. And you look at what the Texans have overcome with all the injuries they've had.
No doubt.
Starting with Mario Williams. So I don't know. I think that I think that Cincinnati at the end of the day takes it home.
And then the game of the week for us.
Yeah, Falcons, 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Falcons at MetLife Stadium. Giants -3.
Giants -3, correct.
Now, what do you think? I'll let you start here.
Love the Giants. Love them.
Yeah, tell me why.
I think what the Giants do poorly is defend the pass. And what is always the great equalizer, you've seen it all in Giants history in the Super Bowl, is their pass rush. And their pass rush, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened.
Yep.
Those guys went in this hyperbaric chamber or something. They're all healthy all of a sudden. Justin Tuck's playing like it's 2000.
A lot of this from Justin Tuck.
Just like
I see this all afternoon.
Osi Umenyiora has like 9 sacks in about 6 games.
Yeah.
Jason Pierre-Paul has about 30 sacks. These guys are insane.
He's got Tecmo Bowl type sack numbers.
And Victor Cruz right now, I don't know what is going on, but it's like no one can touch him. I don't know why.
He's the fastest person I've ever seen.
He's got that mojo going. And sometimes at Giants Stadium, Matty Ice is good, and those wide receivers are great. But I don't see how the Giants are a team you don't want to play right now.
I'm actually surprised at you because I agree with you. I know in almost every regard. I think that the matchup for the Giants, if you were to look at the matchup, couldn't really have been any better for several reasons. Now, they haven't been great at home, but Atlanta is very bad on the road. Atlanta was 3-5 on the road. They lost to Tampa Bay, early on in the season. I mean, they don't beat any good teams on the road. So, that's a big thing. And they're great on the turf at home. So it's going to be nice out though. It's going to be warm. It's not like it's going to be the typical January.
Cold, windy, whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little windy, but I think you look at Eli Manning. He has proven all year he could shred up a bad pass defense. Now, against a good pass defense, he's been very bad. I mean, you look at what he did against the Redskins and the Jets, and he puts up bad numbers. But against any team in the bottom 15 and whatever in the league, he's been able. Nobody's been. He's shown he'll throw up 350 yards. They're 20th in the league in both touchdowns allowed in the air and passing yards allowed. Atlanta. So I mean, it's a great opportunity for Eli Manning to come out there, put up 300-plus yards. Both the big-time wide receivers have big games. I know Rich from Milford's a big Giants fan. He said he's actually very worried about the game, which I was a little surprised about. And he's talking about, they know the Giants' D doesn't stop the run. Well, everybody talks about Michael Turner being this great running back, but he didn't have a fantastic year.
He's too many.
They're in the bottom half of the league in rushing yards.
If I were a big Giant fan like Rich is, the two things that would worry me are the two wide receivers. That's one thing. And the Giants never seem to guard tight ends. And Tony Gonzalez has a little left in him.
So I'm surprised that guy's never going to not be good.
And he signed another contract. So I actually wonder, am I overrating the pass rush? Is the pass rush enough to overpower those negatives?
I do think so. And I actually think that as good as the pass rush was in the last 2 weeks, I think the secondary actually played pretty well. Has been playing that has something to do with it.
They do seem to have a better scheme.
They seem to, they were always good for a couple blown coverages. Yeah. And I think the last 2 weeks, granted, the Jets are the Jets, but they didn't blow any coverage against the Jets over 59 passes. At least once they should be out of position and the Jets could break something. They never did. And then, you look at Tony Romo, and he just, they were able to hammer on him early, and there wasn't a lot of, you didn't see just these huge breakdowns. So, I mean, I'm sure one or both of those wide receivers and White and Julio Jones are going to have a big play, and that's fine. I think whatever the over is, I'm sure it's somewhere around 50 or low 50s. I'd still take the over because I think it's going to be one of those type of games. But I just don't see how the Giants aren't going to score 30 points.
The only way they're not is if John Abraham is like old school.
Or Eli just throws up an egg, which he could do.
Well, that is possible.
Because he's not a great, windy quarterback. If it is windy in that stadium, it's like he's shown that he can go do that.
One thing about the Giants, and you have to give them credit, is that they do find a way. They move the ball well.
Oh, yeah.
They find it even when
they put up yards.
Sometimes they don't run. Yeah, exactly. They just find a way to get yards somewhere. Yep. And I think in these types of games, that's going to be unbelievably beneficial because, especially in a potentially high-scoring game, I just think the Giants' defense has too many guys who are capable of making a big play. And in theory, if John Abraham's the only guy on the other side of the ball that could do that, I'll take my chances with the Giants.
Yeah. What do you got?
I like Atlanta here.
Nice.
The points. Right. I like Atlanta like 27-20. I think
Wow.
Eli and that offense will get you between 17 and 24 points regardless of how the defense plays. Now, if the Giants' defense creates a turnover or two, gets them over 30, I think they take it. But I like Atlanta's running game. I like Michael Turner a lot.
All right.
He was top 5 in the league in rushing this year, even though the team rushing wasn't very good.
He was their whole.
He had like 12 or 1,300 yards. So I like them against the Giants' defense, who can't really stop the run, and an overrated pass rush in the past 2 games.
It is clearly going to come down to Eli Manning versus Matty Ice. Now, you don't know if Matty Ice, I told you I thought Matty Ice should have made the Pro Bowl over him. Now, granted, Stafford clearly should have made it over both of them, but you can go either way on that. I think there's going to be something where Matty Ice, he came into the league, he had all this hype around him, then people were a little bit down on him, and now he's back.
Now is his shot.
And now is his shot to say, you know what, we're ready to make this next step. I mean, last year they were the 1 seed. And weren't able to get to,
I think they're out for a little bit of revenge.
I agree with you there. So there is something there. I mean, it's going to be a good game.
And I think they're mirror images of each other in certain ways. They're an even match.
Probably the most exciting game of the weekend is that game. I'm not saying it just because we're in New York. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most exciting, closest game. I mean, the other close game is obviously the Cincy, but it's not as exciting. We're talking about 2 rookie quarterbacks.
I think the thing about the Giants is they have a chip on their shoulder. And it's not going to be hard for Coughlin to convince them that everyone's written them off, because everyone did write them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that they have as much talent as anyone, and they are nobody wants to play them. And I really believe that this is a chance the Giants get by this game. They can make some.
I mean, they're going to play the Packers next, but
they could give teams trouble. Is my point. It's not going to,
All right, so we have a lot of differences. It's going to be good. It'll be exciting.
When we come back, you want to do top 10? Oh, let's do our special segment.
We're going to do our special segment.
We'll be back. Tri-State Sports, guys.